You're listening to Soap Dirt, the latest in television entertainment news.
Hey there, Days of Our Lives fans. It's Belinda from Soap Dirt, and I have got a day's comings and goings alert. We usually do these later in the week, but this is so exciting. I just couldn't wait. I had to share it. So we have got several returns, and two of them are frankly huge. One of them we've already talked about. I'll mention that one just real quick in passing, and that's John Paul Lavoisier coming back as Philip Kyriakis. J. Kenneth Johnson was the last person in the role, but they've brought back JP this time. He had played him back in like the mid-aughts, and I do believe this is going to be for Victor Kyriakis' funeral. I think they're finally going to have a death storyline. They shoot about 6 months ahead, and it has been now like 8 months since Victor actor passed, since John Aniston passed. He passed on November 11th, 2022. So it's well past time he had a funeral, and with JP Lavoisier coming back, I definitely think that's why. So that's the one thing we already know about. I just wanted to touch on it again in case you haven't heard any of our past days, comings, and goings updates. The next one is that Tamara Braun is back as Ava Vitali. She is bat crap crazy and is being kept at Bayview Mental Hospital. Remember, Harris Michaels asked Marlena to stick him at Bayview until they could be sure that all the brainwashing was out of his system and that he wasn't a danger to anyone. He's very worried about this brainwashing thing that was done to him by Megan Hathaway, and he doesn't want to have anything else bad happen. He doesn't want to kill anybody else. So the official spoiler is that Harris sees a familiar face at Bayview. However, there is no reason that Ava Vitali should be a familiar face to him. He was on Days of Our Lives way back in the day, like late 80s, I think. And Ava wasn't introduced until 2011, if I'm right. And it's just, they just didn't have an overlap. When Steve Burton was on Days of Our Lives back when he first started, he was a high school student. And she's this mobster, and it just, there's not room in their storylines for them to know each other. So I don't think she's the familiar face. And I especially don't think it because of this next piece of casting news, which was the one I was particularly excited to hear about. And that is Kassie DePaiva back as Eve Donovan. There had been some chatter that Days was talking to the original Eve Donovan, which was Charlotte Russ, I think. And she had kind of teased on Instagram about that maybe she was talking to them. And so I think people were halfway expecting to see her back as Eve. But no, it is Kassie DePaiva coming back. And this kind of makes total sense that if she's at Bayview, that she's a familiar face. Because back during Burton's first run as Harris in 1988, he was in high school, and it was not Kassie in the role, it was Charlotte Ross in the role. And he was dating her to try and win a bet with some of his friends. They were trying to see who could sleep with her first. And when Eve found out about the bet and about all the guys, talking about her like that, she tried to kill herself with sleeping pills. So it was a very kind of tragic backstory. And then Burton left the show. He went and he did his Jason thing over at General Hospital. And now I think that since she's coming back, she could be this familiar face at Bayview. So Kassie DePaiva came back in the role a few years back, but she hasn't been on since 2020. She had started as Eve in 2014, and then she had gone away again, and then she came back with Jack Devereaux back when he was evil and trying to be mayor and had this amnesia thing, and it was all just a very weird time. But last we heard, Eve Donovan was serving time at Statesville prison because she blew up Ben and Ciara's wedding with an actual bomb. She kidnapped Ben, and she tried to brainwash him into being the necktie killer again because she wanted him to murder Ciara Brady so that he would feel the same kind of loss that she did when he murdered her daughter, Paige Larson. So she's supposed to be off in Statesville, but it's clear that Eve Donovan had gone crazy. So maybe she's out of prison and has been remanded to Bayview for psychiatric treatment, because Harris seeing a familiar face definitely makes sense for Eve, but not for Ava. And with us having this confirmed spoiler now that Kassie DePaiva is back, that's what I think it is. All right, a couple of other quick notes for Days of Our Lives comings and goings. Chad Tamara's kids are back on the scene next week, so the little tots will be in and out. That apartment that Chad and Stephanie got seems kind of small to be sharing with kids, but it's happening. And then there is one more return we want to talk about that's kind of exciting. It's a businessy sort of return. I'm going to tell you about it in 1 second. If you haven't, please reach down, click subscribe so you don't miss any of our day's updates. If you're enjoying this comings and goings news, please click us a like. Drop us comments. We love your comments. We read absolutely every one of them, and we appreciate you listening so much. So the $1 million realtor guy, Josh Flagg, is coming back as Yuri. You'll remember that Alex Kyriakis was tasked by Maggie Horton with closing the deal with Yuri while she was gone out of town. She was in Greece with Victor. They had gone to check on Bo Brady. And the thing was, Maggie fired Alex for not closing the deal with Yuri, but it was Yuri that was adamant about not closing the deal. He said he didn't think that Titan could do what he needed done, and he basically walked into the meeting already having decided not to make the deal. Then, when she fired Alex, Alex took a job over at Basic Black working with Brady Black, and then it turned around that he was able to convince Yuri to cut a deal with Basic Black, and Maggie is really, really mad about it. So I'm wondering if Yuri is back because Maggie has found a way to flip the script and steal the deal from Brady and Alex. That would certainly be interesting, and it would definitely throw in Alex's face that he thinks he's dealing with a woman who doesn't know how to run a company. All right, that's it. We've got Ava coming back. We have got Eve coming back. Those are the two big tidbits to take away from this Days of Our Lives comings and goings update. Thank you for listening, guys. Leave us your comments. We love it and we appreciate you.
Thank you for being a loyal listener. Follow us wherever you get your podcast, because you don't want to miss the next episode. Soap Dirt is on all the major podcast platforms, including Apple Podcast, Spotify, iHeartRadio, and more.